Time for the Sunshine State Showdown, covering every top sports story in the state of Florida, from South Beach to the state capital and everything in between. And now, without further ado, your hosts, Brandon Kravitz and Zac Blobner.
Here we go, Florida fam. We're covering all the biggest and best sports topics inside of the Sunshine State. Your hosts with you, Brandon Kravitz and Zac Blobner, the Sultan of Stream. We're on air all across the state. Roll call in Orlando. Oh, boy. Miami, 940 WINZ. Miami Sports, and in Jacksonville at the Game Jacks on social. I did it again. I left your microphone off, man. I got to get better at this whole, like, running the board, hosting the show thing.
What did I miss? Anything good?
Nope. That was it. Just the intro. Zac, TGIF, man. Has the weekend lost any zest for you throughout the pandemic?
Absolutely not. No, it is still something I crave.
He was quick with that answer.
Oh, man, no. Friday's real, man. Now, remember, to be fair, I'm still going into the office, and I have been this whole process. So for me, Fridays mean something because I don't wake up for Saturday or Sunday shows at the time, and I still do Monday through Friday. So it's a big deal for me to be able to sleep in, and that means only till like 6 or 7 a.m. as opposed to 3 or 4. But nonetheless, yes, Friday is a big deal, Brandon.
I tend to agree. I wonder for the people out there that aren't working right now, if you can tell the difference. I know that when my wife wasn't working she's back now, but she wasn't working for roughly 2 months. And Tuesday, Saturday, they all look the same. So, I think that we are certainly thankful that we are working and earning the weekend.
Well, you're in the office area. Are weekends still important to you? Do you still feel Fridays? She's in the background here. She's giving me a very sad looking yes, which means she's ready for the weekend too.
Don't be sad. It's Friday.
I know it's Friday.
Yeah,
gotta get down. Ariel, it's Friday.
It's time to get excited about it. I know that our governor, Ron DeSantis, is all excited about possibly bringing some sports to the state of Florida, not just college football. He says he's inviting other sports, well, pro football at least, to the Swamp. Listen to this.
Good morning. And just so everyone knows, I've already spoken with some of our colleges like University of Florida. They got a great football stadium, the Swamp, that's not used on Sunday. So if an NFL team needs a place to land, we could work that out too.
Okay, so it feels like there's a race going on amongst states that are opening up. Yeah, we'll take whatever you got. We'll take it. Now, I'm not trying to spend too much time on this because I've become anti-pandemic sports radio. I think we're all anti-pandemic, but when it comes to what we do in a sports talk format, but I just couldn't ignore this any longer. We had it in the bank there yesterday, and look, I don't know how this even begins to make sense. If the Gators play football, how do you go Saturday and Sunday? The grass is going to be all torn up, and I'm not sure exactly how that works. It just feels like our governor wants to at least throw the invitation out there, and maybe the Swamp was just the first stadium that came to mind, Zac.
No, apparently he talked to officials at Florida. I saw that report was out. So, from what I understand and what I gathered, there was a green light from the University of Florida in Gainesville that, yeah, we'd be open to discussing this type of plan and helping out and getting a pro sports team in town for the fall, for football season, especially if we got extra room on campus and around it, which it seems like is a very real possibility right now. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, down in Miami, they share the Hard Rock Stadium.
That is correct. Yep.
Canes and Dolphins. So what do? They alternate like home games? I would assume that there's still weeks where they maybe clash a little bit with a Saturday and a Sunday back-to-backer. And all that means is more work and harder work for the grounds crew. But look, we're all happy to be working right now if we are working. And if we're not, we're eager to get back to it. So with all that being said, I think it can be done. It will be more difficult than just having a Saturday to Saturday schedule when you're going Saturday to Sunday and then back around for a Saturday game. You got a shorter turnaround, but look, we're all eager and willing to get back at it. And I don't know how plausible it is, especially from a safety standpoint. I will say though, just in theory, as we look at it hypothetically, it'd be pretty damn cool to see the Gators and like Tennessee clash on a Saturday. And then all of a sudden you have the Giants and Bears going at it on another day. Like, that'd be awesome.
I mean, it would be cool, I guess, just in the novelty of it to see those games played at the Swamp. But if there aren't, I mean, let's think about this. If that game is
You have them
happening
in Orlando too. You're telling me they wouldn't do it in Orlando?
Look,
over there at Camping World Stadium.
I'm not trying to ruin
100%.
it. I'm not trying to ruin any potential excitement, but I'm going to say this about the Swamp, and I feel the exact same way about MLS is potentially going to come and play here at Wide World of Sports in front of no fans. The NBA might come and play here, and both of those leagues will be taking place inside of the city in which I reside. And while there is some relevancy to our market that's baked into that, and I love that, especially for what we do for a living, the problem is that if you can't go as a fan, if we can't go as the media, then these events might as well be happening in Vancouver, Canada. What's the difference? So people are getting all excited. Sports are coming to Florida, and then you won't be able to go. You're going to be sitting on your couch and watching it on TV. So what's the difference between the Bears playing in Chicago and the Bears playing in, Gainesville?
We've broken down the fact, though, that the Dolphins have a plan in place for 15,000 to get into the stadium. I would imagine that those type of restrictions can also be similar at other stadiums in the state. And Florida definitely not hit as hard as some of the more metropolitan areas like a New York when it comes to this deadly virus. And I'm not going to act like a scientist and say what is and isn't okay, but I'll say this: if they implement certain rules at Hard Rock Stadium and they're like, this will work for the Dolphins, why couldn't they do the same thing with these other scheduled events potentially, whether it be in Orlando and whether it be in Gainesville, Tallahassee, Jacksonville. Jacksonville has a team, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you could do it in all these other areas. Certainly, Brandon, to your point, yeah, if the fans can't get in, and this goes for a lot of things in the sports world, we're eager to have it back. But for me and you, and for the potential of being able to add some cool stuff around town, if you can't be a part of it, is it really relevant? Does it really matter? No. However, I don't think that that's a foregone conclusion based on, again, some of the things I just pointed out,
right,
including a plan in Miami to get guys in.
Well, I can say that, what you're saying of the hypothetical of a smaller amount of fans that are allowed in a stadium is more plausible for the NFL or for college football. And like you mentioned, the Dolphins have already laid out a plan for their stadium. They'd be at roughly 23% capacity. So all of those things could possibly happen.
That could even grow.
Right. But one thing that I know for sure is that if the NBA and MLS are playing games at Disney, you're not allowed to go. I can guarantee that's not going to happen. So I have sold my speculation business card, so I'm going to move on now. Let's talk about something utterly ridiculous. Charles Barkley has chimed in on the Tua wearing 13 discussion. And if you're wondering to yourself, didn't Tua already choose a number? The answer to that is yes. Charles Barkley said, as reported from the Sun Sentinel, call Dan Marino and tell them to let Tua wear his number, man. Barkley's reasoning is rather simple. He explained that the Philadelphia 76ers called him a few years ago to ask if a player could wear the jersey number 34, which they retired in honor of Charles Barkley at the turn of the century. I asked, is he a good player? They said, yeah, he's going to be a good player. Barkley recalled the conversation and said, I have no problem because my name is retired. My number isn't retired. So call Dan Marino, who I love to death, and say, hey, you're Dan Marino and you're always going to be. Let Tua wear the number 13. Wow.
First of all, me and you need to get into a golf foursome with both Barkley and Marino ASAP. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I call Barkley's team.
Barkley is an Auburn guy, right? So it's weird that he's going to bat for a Bama kid in Tua. I gotta situate that a little bit in my own head. That's thinking true. As an SEC guy, I think to each their own, right? Like, not every situation is the same as another, especially in sports and especially per player. Tua's already picked his number. He doesn't seem to care. I think potentially down the road, maybe that's something that he does, but it just doesn't seem like the kind of kid Tua is wanting to be the number 13. He seems to want to create his own path and forge his own, arena and what he's doing in Miami. And I respect that. Barkley is a funny guy. If he would have said this a month ago when the debate was hot, I think it would have held some more weight. Because then probably at some point Marino would have gotten into the conversation physically. But right now it's just kind of like, it's over, man. We got to move on. He picked his number.
Okay, but let me ask you this question, because you're right. This really doesn't matter anymore. I just think everything Charles Barkley says is hilarious, especially when he chimes in on a story a month later.
Fair. That's fair.
Do you think as good as Tua's jersey has sold, he's number 1 and 2 in the league. We've detailed this on this show, aqua and white, top 2 in the league. Do you think his jersey would be selling better, which hard to beat 1 and 2, but do you think it would be selling better if he wore the number 13, or because he's wearing a brand new number in Dolphin lore, the jersey is selling better?
I think it would sell the same initially. I mean, there's excitement, and we've, talked about it quite a bit with Michael Lubitz down there at WINZ, set to join the show a little later this afternoon, I should say. Fingers crossed if he's not driving through, BFE down there in Miami like he was last time. But with that being said, I don't know if the longevity would have been as good. Like, I don't know if the ride would have been as good for Tua, because then you have people start wondering, like, if you're a Miami fan, and we certainly have quite a few of them listening here, and you own the number 13 jersey. Let's say you have a throwback Marino jersey, or just one that you had when he played that you just never let go. Do you feel comfortable buying another 13? Like, and that'd be where, even if somebody does, if you want to get the people on the fence, people that are going to buy Tua's jersey off the bat will buy it, whether it's 13, whether it's 1,000, whatever the number is, they don't care. But the people that are on the fence, that are giving it a few weeks or waiting it even till the season starts, that's where I think having the number 13 will hurt you. Because if it's, if he doesn't play the first few weeks, are people still going to be buying those jerseys come Christmas time for their loved ones? I don't know if he sells as many if the number is 13.
I don't think that Tua finishes the year with the highest selling jersey in the NFL, because I just don't know if he's going to play enough. And if he does play, he's still a rookie, and that's tough. You got to play well if you want to sell a lot of jerseys. But I think that as great as the spike was with the number 1, it would have been greater with the number 13, because Dolphin fans, there's this lore around that number for obvious reasons. So you'd be buying the number as much as you'd be buying the new thread and the fact that it's Tua Tagovailoa's number. So interesting thought there. Right around the corner, our newest alliterative segment, Fantasy Friday. Every Friday, the second segment of the show. And Zach, we're going to do something that we rarely ever do on this program. We're going to step outside the Sunshine State for it. That's next.
Woo!
Rain or shine, these guys have you covered. Now back to the Sunshine State Showdown with Brandon Kravitz and Zac Blobner.
Show rolls on here in Orlando, Miami, Jacksonville. For all that download the podcast, we appreciate it. You can find it uploaded daily on iHeartRadio, and follow our wonderful affiliates on social at 96.9 The Game, at The Game Jacks, and at 940 WINZ. So, Zach, this was something that we brought up. Maybe I think it was last week. We kind of got into a hot debate about a certain fantasy football topic, and it got me thinking is we love trying out new features on this show, and we love our alliterations. So I put those two together. I married those two, and I'm going to re-spark and long form a debate that we had last week. This is Fantasy Friday. And the debate will be as such. We are actually going to step outside of the state of Florida. We'll give you the state of Florida perspective on something national, which is the fantasy football ranking in seasonal leagues for Joe Burrow versus Aaron Rodgers.
You're ridiculous.
It's not. So
You're
I know that you and I don't agree on this. I would take Joe Burrow ahead of Aaron Rodgers in fantasy football. The Packers have clearly shown what they want to be, which is a lot more 49ers-esque. Where they want to run the football. They want to be a power run team. They upgraded the defense a year ago. Aaron Rodgers is still great, but he's not the same great that he used to be. And they didn't do anything to help his receiving core. I mean, Devontae Adams is a beast. That guy should be drafted first round, maybe top 7 in every fantasy football league. But outside of that, I just don't really like the options that he has to throw the ball to. Conversely, you've got Joe Burrow, who put up these insane numbers last year. He's going to a team that has an atrocious defense, which always helps for fantasy stats because they're going to have to play catch up, which means they're going to throw a lot. And he's got a bunch of really good wide receivers to throw the ball to. AJ Green, they drafted T. Higgins with the first pick in the second round. Tyler Boyd had a really good season last year, and John Ross is one of the fastest players in the NFL. I feel really good about this, and I wouldn't even think twice about it.
I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to bait me. You're trying to get me all riled up because this is something we've already touched on. And you know clearly that I disagree with you in regards to taking a guy like Burrow over Aaron Rodgers. First of all, let's start here. Let's not even compare the two. Let's just look at Joe Burrow as a normal guy by himself. Not plausible to even believe that potentially you can take a rookie coming out onto the worst team ever with question marks all across the board. I know you're higher on Tyler Boyd than I am. I get the feeling that you're also higher on Joe Mixon than I am. AJ Green is an anomaly to me. I don't know what kind of like credit to give him heading into this year. I think he's certainly a great receiver.
I'm with you on that. I don't know what to think of AJ Green this year.
So with that being said, if you're okay, so like, and again, I'm trying to do this without getting frustrated with you because it's a ridiculous question.
Well, good luck.
If you're going to draft Joe Burrow, you're going to do that as your QB1 in this argument because you take him over Aaron Rodgers, right? In what world do you feel comfortable taking a rookie that's going to be thrown into the fire on the worst team in the league last year as your starting quarterback that has to win you games in fantasy football? Now, I know that obviously you could argue there's name recognition with Aaron Rodgers, but his skill set has diminished. They didn't help him. I understand all those parts. Those things are definitely true in regards to how potentially, his stock might be higher than it should be. But to say that you feel safer taking a guy like Joe Burrow with all the reasons I just mentioned over a guy in Aaron Rodgers who's going to sling it, who is durable.
Hold on a second. No, you're putting words in my mouth because safer and ranked higher are not the same thing. I will give you, if you're trying to have the safer argument, yeah, it's safer to take Aaron Rodgers because he's a Hall of Fame quarterback who has not completely lost his talent. And he did put up some good numbers last year. It's not to his standard, but still good numbers for Aaron Rodgers.
How many fantasy football players are willing to dip their toes in the quarterback water, especially when it comes to rookies?
What about Kyler Murray?
Go ahead, bring it up.
I know.
Go ahead.
I know. For me, last year, I mean, I was in a league. I actually won the league. I had Kyler Murray as my starting quarterback. It eventually turned into Ryan Tannehill, but still, I drafted Kyler Murray first year. Deshaun Watson, his first year, he was excellent. You know, we've seen rookies pop
When did
before.
When did you draft Murray?
I don't remember that.
It was probably not like super early.
No,
right?
and I wouldn't draft Burrow super early either.
Would you
I would just draft him.
Rodgers probably got drafted before him.
I would expect, and this is one of the reasons I like Burrow more, and I understand the way that drafts are going to go. Most people are going to side with you, and Aaron Rodgers, because of name recognition, is going to get drafted before Joe Burrow. And I'm just going to sit back. And I'm going to end up with Burrow in so many drafts this year. I can already tell because I can sit back and wait while everybody tries to gobble up. There are these quarterbacks at the top that are just otherworldly. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, forget it. Those guys are
Drew
outstanding.
Brees, Tom Brady, you got some other guys.
You'd be excited about Brees, excited about Brady, and then Aaron Rodgers and Ben Roethlisberger. They're going to get drafted and stuff. And I'll let guys like that, Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott.
You're arguing value then, though. That's different.
No.
If you want to argue value, that's fine.
No, I know.
But you can't tell me in the fourth round if you were taking a quarterback and Burrow and Rodgers was on the slate, 9 out of 10 people, if not more, percentage-wise, are going to take Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I'm arguing both. In fact, I'm not even arguing value. I know for a fact that I'm right about value. Of course, you can draft Joe Burrow after the 10th round, and you don't need to pay up. You need to pay up when you draft names like that. So I know that I'm right about the value.
So where would you draft Aaron Rodgers? Let's do this, because I'm about to break your whole thing down here. Where would you draft him? What round, just roughly, would you draft Aaron Rodgers?
I would draft him somewhere between 10 and 12. I would. I would take Burrow just ahead of that. I have them pretty close, but I have Burrow higher.
Okay, better question.
I'm more excited about Burrow this year.
What round do you expect most leagues to draft a guy like Aaron Rodgers?
Probably, I would think between round 6 and 7. I would think.
So the argument here, more than anything, is that you think Aaron Rodgers is overvalued.
Sure, he's overvalued.
I'm dying to see you in the 12th round pick Joe Burrow over Aaron Rodgers if he's available. I would love to see you pull the trigger on that. Honestly, bro, I'm calling BS. I don't think you would. I don't believe
Aaron
you.
Rodgers,
I don't believe you.
Aaron Rodgers had a nice little stretch. I've got his fantasy numbers in front of me from last year. He had a nice little stretch from about week 4 to week 8 where he was phenomenal. Outside of that, he was not startable last year in the fantasy playoff region. So we're going to go from week 9 to the end of the year. I'll cut off week 17 because week 17s don't matter. Okay. I'm going to go week 9 to week 16. I'll give you his point total: 14, 9, 11. He gave you a 35 there, Zach. 12, 16, and 8. That was Aaron Rodgers last year when it mattered the most. And I'm not saying this is some bitter former Aaron Rodgers owner. I owned him in no leagues last year. I just watched others fail miserably in starting a guy who's as great as Aaron Rodgers, who put up no numbers at the end of the year. When it got cold and games mattered more than they do prior, that team ran the football a ton. And they just drafted another running back. And they didn't upgrade his weapons at all. Clearly, Matt LaFleur is telling you what they're trying to do with that offense, and it is not throw the ball down the field, especially when they get into those winter months. And that's why I don't like Aaron Rodgers. So I'll let somebody else draft him. I like Joe Burrow more because of all the reasons that I laid out there. For fantasy relevance purposes, he checks so many boxes. It's ridiculous. And I think that, we're all excited about, I love Tua, don't get me wrong, but I think Burrow could come out with the way that he looked last year, and I think he could just start slinging it immediately and put up numbers.
Do you think Aaron Rodgers is irritated with the Packers?
Hell yes.
Do you think he's going to have what they call a chip on his shoulder next season to prove
but that's the thing.
As good as he is?
I can't project chips on shoulders.
Oh, you can project Joe Burrow coming out.
I told you everything I told you is factual. You're trying to give me emotions.
Aaron Rodgers with a chip on his shoulder.
You're trying to give me fantasy projections based on your sports psychologist degree. I'm just not buying that.
Okay.
If that's the case, then Tom Brady will be the number one quarterback in fantasy.
And he will be drafted a lot higher because of that emotional factor. And you know it. And let me take you to another part of fantasy football that me and you love to touch on. It's called the revenge game, Brandon. Why do we put so much stock in revenge games? Mm-hmm. Because we know statistically that these guys, whoever they are when they play their former team, typically bust less than they boom because of the emotional factor. We've seen it every year. We'll continue to see it. It's not guaranteed, but it's more likely than less likely. You cannot tell me that Aaron Rodgers will not be playing next season with a chip on his shoulder, and that doesn't just sweeten the pot even more.
He's not in a revenge game. He's still in the bad relationship. He's
on a revenge tour. The whole season's a revenge game for him. Every game he plays in training camp, in practice. You know what he's trying to do? He's trying to make Jordan Love feel like a bum.
Yes.
And the Packers organization. He's going to do everything in his power to ball out and show everybody why he is still the chosen one at quarterback.
Hey, A-Rod ain't calling the plays in Green Bay, okay? That right there, folks, that was a Fantasy Friday. Expect that every single week leading up to the football season. Around the corner, we'll try and connect with the legend in South Florida. That's Michael Lubitz next.
Welcome back to the Showdown with your hosts, Brendan Kravitz and Zac Blobner.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Time for some added insight. Let's head to the Sunshine State Hotline.
I know when that hotline blink.
Michael Lubitz. I've been waiting all week to talk to this guy, star of the Defo Show, 940 WINZ Miami Sports, 6 to 10 a.m. weekdays. Luby, I've been waiting all week to ask you this. Tua's got the top-selling jersey in the National Football League. In fact, he's got the top 2. Do you own or will you own a Tua jersey before the end of next week?
First, and I'll say I take it as a compliment, but I will also add, I don't know what that says about your life, if I'm the highlight of your week, but I appreciate, or you've been waiting to talk to me all week, but I'll keep you not waiting any longer. I feel weird because I am, yes, in this field, but I also grew up and I'm born and raised in South Florida, so I am a huge Dolphins fan. So I do feel sort of upset at myself that I don't have a Dolphins Tua jersey yet. I'll admit that. But what I will say is I'm in a weird place because I don't use those as adults who have jerseys, but I will admit I haven't worn a jersey of an athlete since I was a child, and I feel sort of weird wearing a jersey as an adult. I wanted to ask you guys, I've been wanting to ask you all week, do you own jerseys? Like, do you guys as adults wear jerseys? You and Zach, like, is that like a thing? Like, because I feel weird doing it.
Zach?
I mean, I certainly do. I don't do it often, and most of the jerseys I wear out, though, like, so I have a Rays jersey, but it's got my name on it. I have another Rays jersey. It's a throwback. There's no name on it. I do have a Blake Snell jersey, though, which, given the current state of Blake Snell, isn't the best one to have. But I do wear that from time to time as well. So I think for me, I do, but it's pretty specific. Like, I don't wear them unless, for the most part, I'm going to the game. I have a lot more, let me put it like this. I have a lot more graphic tees with guys' names on them and likeness than I do jerseys.
Yeah, I am happy to wear, say, like a Tua T-shirt that has the number on the back. It looks like a jersey, but it's a T. I'm with you, Luby. I haven't worn a jersey. I honestly can't remember the last time I threw a jersey on. And honestly, I think it might have been Reggie Bush's Saints jersey is the last football jersey. I know.
Why?
Pretty random.
Wow.
Why?
I just was really excited about him, man. I thought he was going to be like the next Barry Sanders, you know?
Yeah.
I was all excited.
You're not even a Saints fan.
I just like
or a
Reggie
USC
Bush.
fan.
I owned I'm a fan of great athletes, Zach. Okay. The Dolphins haven't had, by the way, I looked this up today, Luby. I was trying to find the last Dolphin to be a top jersey seller. Apparently the internet didn't give a damn about jersey sales prior to 2007 because I couldn't find one. The Dolphins haven't had a top 20 jersey seller since 2007. And I'm not saying they had one in 2007. I'm saying that's as far back as my research went, and they didn't have one that year. I'm guessing the last top 10 or top 20 jersey seller they had was Ricky Williams in his first run in Miami. I bet that one sold well in around 2004.
Yeah, I would have said Marino. So I forgot. Ricky did have such a great year, and he was like a fun dude with the dreadlocks, and he would say some interesting things. But that actually is an interesting one because outside of Ricky Williams, and again, it's a lot of it's been defensive players with Zach Thomas and Jason Taylor. People don't really buy defensive player jerseys. Usually the quarterback, the receiver, the running back. So I would say Marino. So it might go back to like 84, 85 when Marino was a rookie or a second-year guy, to be honest with you.
Fun fact, actually, since we're on this subject randomly, and Brandon's talking about buying Saints jerseys, which I don't understand. I owned in middle school and high school, I had an orange Ricky Williams jersey that I was very fond of. Loved the orange, loved Ricky Williams. And then I actually, as a kid, because I have so much family in Pittsburgh, had a Marino Dolphins jersey. So the only two Dolphins jerseys that I've ever even owned, one was because I love the orange stylish look and I loved Ricky Williams. So player-wise, I liked him. I had that one. And then Marino because of his Pitt background. So ironic you guys bring those up as the last two jerseys that probably sold the best, and those were the two that I had.
So the last two, I'll tell you, Luby, you'll probably get a kick out of this. The last two Dolphin jerseys that I owned before I stopped wearing jerseys, which I think if I owned a Reggie Bush jersey, chances are I stopped wearing them around the age of 20. So the last two Dolphin jerseys I own, Ted Ginn's number 19. I had that one. Ouch. I had Dante Culpepper's orange 8 jersey. And the one before that was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, not the basketball player, the running back.
Wow.
Oh,
You're like a
wow.
real Dolphin fan. That's real Dolphin fan stuff, because the only Dolphin fan the only Dolphin jersey I can think of was, I think, because a buddy of mine used to like help with the team, and I feel like for some reason I had like a practice jersey of one of the players. So I had that, and it was massive on me, so I barely wore it. And I don't know if I ever had another Dolphin jersey. So I guess you had me beat. You went Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, yeah. Yeah, I mean, look.
How about worst jersey you ever had? I can tell you right now that because of his Gators background in my family in Pittsburgh, at one point I was gifted a Chris Rainey Steelers jersey. That was literally good. It was good for 1 week. It was good for 1 week, and he got cut from the team that same week because of an incident. And I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with this now.
I've got two that I think might compete with that, at least close to it. I owned, for whatever reason, maybe it was on sale at Ross or something, I had an Andre Rison Browns jersey when I was a kid. And the original Ravens, before they changed their logo to that awesome bird head, they had like the Maryland shield with the wings coming out. The first, I think it was their first year in existence. I had a Vinny Testaverde jersey, Ravens jersey.
Oh my God.
That's a throwback right there.
Those are the ones where you see it at the gas station. Like, where'd they even find that jersey? The player was not a bad player. I will say this. It was just, it's funny because of how it came about. I got for a birthday, and I'm a Heat fan, always been a Heat fan. And it's ironic when I got this and who it was, my dad, for some reason, and I know why he got it, but an Alonzo Mourning jersey. Now, there's nothing wrong with Alonzo Mourning, whether it be the Heat or the Hornets. However, it was a youth jersey for like a third grader, and I was like 14, so that was fun.
Looking swollen, that jersey.
It was a Hornets jersey, and he ended up being traded to the Heat, and this was before throwbacks were cool, because it would be cool now. He was traded like a week later to the Heat. So it was like awkward. It didn't fit me, and it was the wrong team. So it was like super awkward, and that's the most awkward jersey I have.
Yeah,
had.
We're talking to Michael Lubitz, star of the Defo show. Don't tell Jeff DeForest we said that. 940 wins Miami Sports.
I didn't say that. Don't say we. I didn't say that.
I didn't say it either.
All right.
Actually.
I said it. You can tell him that I apologize.
Down.
All right. We brought this up earlier in the show, Luby. I'm really interested to get your thoughts on this. So Ron DeSantis, our governor, he has opened up the swamp to NFL teams. And I was worried that the field wouldn't hold up. But, you know, Zach brought up a good point. Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, they house the Dolphins. They house the Hurricanes. You'll know this better than we do. Do they stagger home games? How do they work out having two games potentially back-to-back one day after the other and still maintain the integrity of the turf?
I appreciate you thinking so highly of me that I know science like that. Remember, I do have a master's. I admit it, but it's in communication.
It's not in
grass. I don't know math and science that well. I will say that it happens. I know because I've been to a Kane game, and then the next day was at a Dolphin game. So it happens. They do handle it. I know their grounds crew is one of the better grounds crew because of the way it rains down here. And Brandon, you know, from down here, it rains out of nowhere. And it does it throughout Florida, but South Florida is on another level, the tropics. It rains out of nowhere. It rains strong out of nowhere. Then it goes away. You can expect it, and it doesn't happen. So their grounds crew, I know, is one of the better grounds crews. So I know they handle a lot of different things. How? I don't know how. I'm not going to lie to you, but yes, it happens. And I don't think it's an issue really ever. Like, I don't think it's a big problem with the swamp. Okay, let me ask you, are they trying to have Gator and then NFL games there, or this is just to have NFL games?
No, it'd be both. It would be both in theory. And real quick, if I can just get this jab in, it's good that down in Miami, you guys can at least rep your grounds crew since the Canes and the Finns have been so bad the last 10 years. But you got to talk grounds crew. So we'll clap it up for that.
Mr. Brady. I'm glad you have Brady, Mr. Buckman.
Yeah, Zach's getting cocky over there, right?
Yeah, exactly. They haven't played yet. Don't be the Browns. Talking about the Browns.
Well, Brady and Baker are a little different. I think we can agree on at least that quarterback position. To your point, though, and asking about the swamp, and Brendan had asked me, people in Gainesville already greenlit the idea as far as being on board with trying to figure it out if a professional team did want to play at the swamp on Sundays. It sounds like a hard job to do. And this was my thing with Brendan earlier. Because of the current state of sports, though, and just the economy and jobs in general, I would imagine that it might actually be good because it would create more jobs. You would have probably more grounds crew members. If you got more sports in the state, it'd be tough to manage and balance it all, especially at each stadium, but it would be good for the economy and the jobs in the state, I would assume.
Yeah, I look, and again, like when they do it here, I think it's like a Canes game during the day, and then the Dolphins game will be later in the day. So they would have to work things out like that because the Gators are supposed to be a top 10 team. You would think they have more late afternoon, night games. So I don't think you'd want a 7, 8 o'clock game and then a 1 o'clock game. So I don't know how they'd work that out. But if they can get the scheduling down, why would you? I don't see how you say no. Like I think the turf or the grass, whatever they have in the swamp, should handle it. And we're not at a place exactly economically to be saying no to things. I think workers would be willing to do the work, and I think it would bring back jobs. And we want football, and if they safety wise it works, I think it's a go. I mean, I think it should be a go.
Michael Lubitz, 940 WINZ Miami Sports. He gets the weekend off, and then you can catch him on Monday morning, 6 to 10 a.m. with Jeff DeForest on the Defo Show. You excited for the weekend, Luby?
Yes, I am. I really am. It's so funny because every day is, I guess, the same for most people, being that we're still working. Yeah. My days are different, and I wake up at 4 o'clock every day. I don't do that on the weekend. So, yes, I'm very excited for the weekend.
Well, enjoy it, man. You've definitely earned it.
All right, guys, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you Wednesday and be safe.
How about that?
You too, brother.
It looks like all of us in this profession still value our Saturdays. So get that right around the corner, huh?
Yeah, Brandon, we do. Also, while we're thinking about bad jerseys, I just thought of another one. I don't know why. I don't know how long I had it or when I had it. We would have to do the logistic math. I had a Jerry Stackhouse Pistons jersey.
Oh, nice with the teal Pistons. Those were slick.
Like thinking about it, I have no idea why. I must have just at one point grown an affinity for him as a kid, a younger person. But I had one, and no ties to Detroit or Jerry Stackhouse. But for some reason, I had one.
Well, because you're a fan of pure athleticism. Jerry Stackhouse had his moment. He was going to be the next Grant Hill for the Detroit Pistons. I had an epiphany in our conversation of all these jerseys. There's a reason why I don't wear jerseys anymore. I don't think it's because I've outgrown them or I'm too mature for them or I think I'm too good to wear a jersey. That? I've told you the list of names now over the last couple of minutes. There's a reason I don't buy jerseys anymore. Ted Ginn, Reggie Bush, Andre Rising, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Dante Culpepper. Every time I buy a jersey, the guy flames out. So I just don't do it.
Though. You've had some bad choices. Let me ask you this question.
They didn't feel like bad choices.
On that note, okay, let's say that you're okay with people wearing jerseys in general, and like that's your stance. How do you feel about people that wear guys that aren't on the team anymore? So, like, if you go to a Dolphins game and you see a Jarvis Landry jersey and a Cameron Wake jersey, like, is there like a hierarchy of what is and isn't okay on jerseys?
I don't think so. I don't think of
just
it like
wear whatever.
That. Yeah, I mean, I think
what
the most important.
What about people that wear jerseys of teams that aren't even in the games you're going to? So, like, you go to a Lightning Blackhawks game and somebody's gone on a Detroit Red Wings jersey. Like, is that okay? Because I say no. I hate when that happens.
You know, it's funny that you say that because I feel like when you go to a concert, if you were to do that, like if you were to go to a John Mayer concert, but you wore a Bruno Mars shirt or something, like that's fine. But at a sporting event, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It doesn't anger me, but it confuses me. It genuinely confuses me.
Look, if I'm jamming out to Your Body is a Wonderland and somebody walks up with Bruno on their shirt, I'm going to be like, what the hell is going on with this guy?
Yeah, but you can't wear the band shirt to the concert. That's like, that is,
you buy it at the concert. You buy it there.
And you put it in a bag and you wear it later, right?
Fair.
Okay,
fair.
You have to maintain some level of cool in my as I'm getting older. Around the corner.
I love that you're going to John Mayer concerts, seeing people in Bruno Mars shirts. What a weird analogy, Brandon.
Well, I've been to a couple of John Mayer concerts, so that was the one that I pulled out. Anyway, I wore a Dolphin jersey there. Does that count? Coast to Coast is next.
The Sunshine State Showdown with Brandon Kravitz and Zac Blobner.
Welcome back to the show, folks. Our show today presented by KeepFloridaGoing.com. You can find out which businesses in the state are opening back up, where you can get takeout, get your car serviced, all that great stuff. KeepFloridaGoing.com. Orlando, Miami, Jacksonville. Don't forget, if you miss our show live, you can find our podcast available daily. Check it out on the iHeartRadio app. We've got Coast to Coast coming your way in a matter of seconds. Zach, big weekend plan is blank.
Ooh, beer, always. Actually, you know what? We're going to check out the dog beach tomorrow. It's something that we had talked extensively about. And the pups certainly have been asking us in more than one way.
Understand.
So we're gonna give that a go. We're gonna bring the pen and still do a little social distancing and have their little spot that they can chill in. And we're gonna try that out. So it's an adventure. It could go really well. It could go really bad. But
I would
excited.
worry about the mess. You know, like I love dogs and I love beaches, but I've never combined the two. You know,
like
because
having
of the sand situation.
Yeah, so the last time we did it, I definitely had a lot of sand in my car. But listen, it's summertime. We live in Florida. It's just par for the course. You're expecting sand everywhere.
Do they make suntan lotion for dogs?
Ariel, is there suntan lotion for dogs? She said, I don't know. So I think that there is, actually. I don't know how you'd apply it, though, with the fur.
That's true. I feel a Google search coming on after this.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
See if that one just like auto populates for you on Google. Can you apply suntan lotion to your dog? Take it away, Zach.
All right. Speaking of suntan lotion, you certainly need some on South Beach, where the Miami Heat play. Udonis Haslem said if Michael Jordan spoke to him like he does with his teammates during the Last Dance practices, he would have fought the GOAT multiple times. Is Haslem crazy or justified saying he'd square up with MJ?
I think he's justified. I think MJ knew who he could pick on, and then I think there's a reason why the Steve Kerr story catches so much traction, is because that got escalated. I mean, MJ was treating everybody like this. He knew who he could attack. He knew who he couldn't. And I think he just found out about Steve Kerr and it escalated. And he probably picked on guys for the most part that he knew he could get away with needling them. And it didn't work that one time. It became a national story. But I think MJ would have that one figured out with Udonis Haslem. Like, I might say something here or there, but I'll take it easy on him. Like, don't you feel like Pippen kind of like didn't get the brunt of it?
Because, no doubt.
Because he knew MJ knew if I go after Pippen, not that he'll attack me back, but I will break him mentally. And that seems like the guy that Scottie Pippen was. Like, don't come after me because I'll go in a shell.
Look what Pippen gave that team, though. Did he need it pushed?
Maybe not. Or maybe he did, and maybe I'm wrong.
Best player on the team. I don't know. I'm with Haslem, though. I'm throwing hands. Anyways, we're going to move on to the Magic. Magic players have many in the NBA, including Heat players as well. But Magic players have resumed individual player practices, Brandon. How hopeful does this make you that the season is also on the way back?
Very hopeful. I think the season, it's funny, all along I've thought that June felt like the right time to come back, and that was just a wild guess because I certainly don't know. And it seems like that's what's going to happen. I at this point would expect there to be NBA games a month from now, maybe like June 22nd, like around that time. That to me is a target date, is right there around the 20s in June. And I think that they could play right here in our backyard in Orlando. I'm very hopeful that it'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a step in the right direction. I mean, I don't think it has me convinced that it's a done deal, but you can't tell me that this isn't a positive action. I mean, you said it over and over again over the last few weeks. The first thing we need to see are guys back at facilities practicing. When that happens, we can have real conversations about games, and we're there, so we can start looking ahead.
Yeah. I don't think there's going to be regular season. No, go ahead. I don't think they're going to be regular season games. I do think they're going to have to jump to the postseason, though.
It makes no sense not to go straight to the postseason, just time-wise. On the ice, speaking of trying to get leagues back into action, the NHL is offering full refunds to season ticket holders and single-game ticket holders for ones that haven't happened just yet. On the flip side, is this a reason to feel pessimistic that the NHL season will return?
Well, I think it's a way to feel pessimistic that you'll be allowed in the stadium. I think that's what it tells you more than anything else. But again, we can go back to Gary Bettman and the NHL. It doesn't feel like they're having the same conversations. I'm not at a point where I'm bothered by it anymore. I'm kind of just like, I'm over that. I'm over living in that mental space where it bothers me. One commissioner's handling it one way and others handling it a different way. Everybody do your own thing and just come back whenever you can come back. I'm just tired of worrying about these things. But it does feel like the NHL doesn't have a plan. And so I would certainly think go ahead and get your refund because you're not going into that arena anytime soon.
Yeah, look, the way I approach it is if they're offering refunds, take them. You can always find a way to buy tickets again. The Florida Panthers on social media were talking about the perfect work-from-home outfit. Obviously, a lot of Panthers gear involved on their end. In your opinion, what's the perfect work-from-home outfit, Brandon?
Yeah, I've been doing this a lot. Now I'm back at the studio, but I had a lot of work-from-home outfits. Usually it was a golf polo and sweatpants. So as long as you can go, it's kind of like the mullet of outfits. Baby. You go business up top, party on the bottom. That's the way I roll.
I've gone gym shorts, jersey shorts, t-shirt, and hat, and that's kind of my go-to. Got to have the socks off too. The last one for you, a Jaguars question: Tyler Eifert under touchdowns this season at 4.5.
I'll take the under. I unfortunately
that's your guy.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's the best tight end they've had there since Mercedes Lewis, but I'm not sure what that says.
3
about
years
him.
ago.
Okay, he's better than what they had last year. I'll take the under on that one. I don't think he's going to stay healthy, but I think that all of you should stay healthy out there this weekend. I'm Brandon Kravitz. He's Zac Blobner. Download the podcast if you miss us. You can listen on demand over the course of the weekend. Just search Sunshine State Showdown on iHeartRadio. We're back at 5 p.m. on Monday. Have a great weekend. Stay safe out there, folks.